You remember the hospital scene. You don't need a timestamp. You don't need a frame. You just know. The silence, the stillness, the shame. It's not just the most uncomfortable moment in anime story. It's the most human. This scene has been dissected, memed, censored, and buried. But almost no one talks about why it exists. It wasn't just shock value. It was Hideaki Anno throwing a brick through the window of anime conventions and making you sit in the broken glass. This video isn't here to justify it. It's here to show you why it matters, why you felt sick, why Shinji's breakdown isn't a mistake. It's the entire point. Let's go deeper than the surface. Deeper than the scene. This is Evangelion through the lens of psychology, narrative collapse, and the unbearable pressure to exist. Episode 24 ends with Kaworu's death. It wasn't just another loss, it was the final emotional thread Shinji was clinging to. When End of Evangelion begins, Shinji is already broken. Not dramatic broken, not anime protagonist broken, dead-eyed, no will to live broken. And then he finds Asuka. The hospital room is silent. There is no soundtrack, no moral compass, no emotional guidance. By yourself, with him, chilling. Asuka lies comatose. The one person who mirrored his pain, who fought him, rejected him. Shinji's act, horrific, shameful, immediate, is not portrayed with titillation. It is immediate trauma. The sound of his breath, the silence afterward, his whispered line is not an excuse. It's a confession. This is the manifestation of absolute emotional disconnection. Shinji doesn't know how to ask for love, so he acts in violence. Not outwardly, inwardly. Anno didn't want you to sympathize. He wanted you to feel implicated. He wanted to punish the viewer for ever turning Evangelion into escapism, because that's what it became. The fans who idolized Rei, who made Asuka a wife, who loved the pain because it was fiction. Anno said, you want realism? Here it is. You want to project yourself onto Shinji? It's going to cost you. This wasn't fan service. It was fan confrontation. Hideaki Anno was at war with his audience. After death and rebirth, after the backlash, after the hate mail he broke, End of Evangelion was this message in a bottle, lit on fire and thrown into the sea. This scene is that fire. It tells the truth about what happens when we confuse characters for therapy, stories for salvation. Evangelion was never about cool robots. It was about depression, apathy, ego collapse. And this scene, it burned away the last illusion. You were supposed to feel disgusted. You were supposed to ask yourself, why? And if you looked away, Anno won. Because Evangelion was never about comfort. It was a mirror, a challenge, a dare. The hospital scene is still debated because it's really in a way that animation rarely allows itself to be. It's not beautiful, it's not elegant, but it's true. And that's why we still talk about it. Because sometimes the most human stories are the hardest ones to look at. Evangelion wasn't made to be loved, it was made to be understood. But understanding hurts. Because understanding means admitting the part of you that was Shinji. Not the pilot, not the chosen one, the kid who gave up. The kid who wanted someone to tell him he mattered and never did. The hospital scene is not about lust, it's about control, or the illusion of it. Shinji touches Asuka not because he wants her, but because he wants something to respond to him, even passively, even unconsciously, because every other door has closed. This isn't sex, it's a scream. It's the ugliest kind of intimacy, one-sided, unreciprocated, and fully aware of its wrongness. It's not about desire, it's about desperation. And Anno makes you feel that, frame by frame. There's no romantic haze, no visual euphemism, just sterile light unmoving shadows and the weight of a silence that accuses you as much as him. Because Evangelion was always self-aware. It knew its audience, knew what they wanted, and it said, "You came here for catharsis? You came to be understood? Then face this. Face the ugliest part of being human. The part that collapses under loneliness and chooses violation of their vulnerability." And watched fans reduce his trauma to gifts. He watched a show about depression turn into merchandise. He saw Shinji become a joke, Asuka become a pin-up, Rei become a brand. And they asked, "Is this what you took from it?" So he made End of Evangelion, not to continue the story, but to destroy the fantasy, to make sure no one could pretend anymore. Because the real apocalypse wasn't the angels. It was the moment Shinji touched Asuka, and the moment you realized you couldn't stop him. That was the impact. That was the end. Evangelion doesn't care if you like it. It dares you to look anyway. And if you do, you'll see something terrible. Not just in Shinji, not just in the scene, but in yourself.